the city?
Well, I think that is a testament to the guys that have played here in the past and the success that they've had. I think, you know, when you play a team on the road, obviously you have to deal with their home crowd, and you know, certain crowds. We're fortunate here; we sell out every game, but in most places are not like that, and you know, not all crowds are created equally in certain home games. So I think. You know, for our guys, it just means we got to have a readiness for the fact that the crowd's going to be excited, the opposing team's going to be excited, the students are going to be excited, and that's something that we got to face. But at the same time, it's still 5-on-5, and it's still something where if we focus on the things we control, we can have success.
Chaz Williams, probably one of the best guards in the league. Can you just talk about the challenges that he presents and about the key to containing him and how that leads to pop out of the win?
Yeah, he's a great player, and you know, he's someone that is he's as good as anybody in our conference, and he's been that way for a long time. He's made a lot of winning plays over the years, throughout games, and then particularly at the end of games. The most obvious attribute he has is just great quickness and explosiveness. You know, he's a guy that is really low to the ground and explosive, and you cannot relax at all when you're guarding him. And then he uses that quickness on defense as well. So he's a guy we certainly need to be aware of and need to defend with 5 guys.
How geared up is Briante on that matchup if given the opportunity to face Chaz, you know, put him in there?
We haven't talked about it yet. I mean, we were off yesterday, and I'll see him later today. We've talked more in general about this week and our team, but he'll be excited. I mean, he's a guy that loves a challenge, and you know, he's coming off a matchup that was a heck of a challenge, and you know, he'll have another one here on Friday. That's a big challenge.
Aside from Chaz, what are some other problems that you guys can present to us?
Yeah, they're a really good team. You know, it's certainly not a one-man show at all. They have great length. I would say probably the best length of anyone in our conference in athleticism. So with that length, they get their hands on the basketball a lot. They can block shots, can really get the game going where they get out in transition and get some easy baskets. Caddy Lalane is having a very, very good season. 6'10", 250-pound big man for them, who we know really well. We tried to recruit him several years ago, and he's gone up there. And you know, I think he and their coaching staff deserve great credit because he's gotten better and better and turned himself into an all-conference big man. You know, he had some success against us last year, so we need to do a good job on him. And then they've got a host of other guys that are very good players. Raphael Putney is having a really good year. He was effective against us here in the game last year, the regular season game, played really well. Gordon is a kid that's changed their team from the standpoint of giving them more moxie in the backcourt along with Chaz. You know, I think last year, Chaz had to do so much handling the ball and playmaking. He still does a ton of it now, but he's got a backcourt mate that does a lot of it as well. So, really well coached team, aggressive team, and you know, playing on their home floor, I'm sure they'll be really excited.
What's the difference between your press and their press?
Oh, there's a lot of differences. I mean, it's just theirs is more based on length. And there's, you know, it's typically more of a zone press. Now we have a zone press, but our primary presses are man-to-man.
Can you take anything from last year's game, or are they so different as a team that you don't even go back to that game?
No, you always can. I mean, the only times where you can't take anything from the previous year's game is if there's a coaching change. or if like the personnel is completely different. And obviously Coach Kellogg was there last year, he's there this year, so there's some stylistic similarities, not exactly the same. And then they do have a lot of good players back that played big roles for them last year. So most definitely we can take a lot from watching those games. And both those games, they really outplayed us early in the game, and we need to do a better job starting the game.
Do you guys, is there a benefit to having 6 days to prepare for a team, or would you guys rather kind of have that every 3-day rapid fire type?
I think the benefit comes if the other team has a quick turnaround, and they've got the same turnaround that we have. So it's, we both played last Saturday, we both play this Friday, so I don't think there's really much of an advantage there. It's just sometimes how the schedule falls.
Coach, you mentioned sellout crowds, and the popularity we have is a testament to the players that come before us. Next month we're having our alumni reunion event. Let's talk about how vital it is to bring the former players back and keep them involved in the program, and how special it is to have them back here.
Well, it's something that was really important to me. I was really lucky when I was a graduate assistant, young guy, 22, 23 years old. My boss at the time put me in charge of doing an alumni day at the school where I worked. And so I was in charge of all the details, and got to know a lot of the alumni, and the event went really well, and it's something that they do to this day at that school. But surprisingly, a lot of places don't do that, and at VCU it hadn't been done for a while, any type of recognition of alumni. So we felt like, particularly with the increased attention that our program was getting, we feel like it's important to acknowledge and appreciate the players that came before, the guys that we have now, and the guys that quite literally built this program and made it what it is today. And that's, people that played here before the name was even VCU, and it's people that played here in the 80s when the program broke through and had postseason success, and had players like Calvin Duncan and Rolando Lamb, who were among the best in the country at their positions, and then obviously moving all the way forward through the recent success that that Coach Capel and Coach Grant and our teams have had.
How important is it for our current players to see the former players come back and be able to mingle with them, and just
It's really important. I think it's one of those things that unfortunately you never have a full appreciation for what it's like to be a former player until you're a former player. And it's something we work really hard on to provide our guys a perspective of just how fortunate they are. There was I can't even remember exactly what it was, but there was something the other day that our guys got to participate in that we wouldn't have normally been able to do in the past. And one of the guys in our staff, Troy Daniels, was out in the gym shooting, and we were in a film room, and one of our guys afterwards, he said, "Hey, thanks," to one of the guys on our staff, and the guy said, "Don't thank me. Thank Troy Daniels. Thank that guy out there shooting. Those guys that came before you, those are the guys that created the opportunities that we have now."
Your second half of the schedule is obviously tougher than the first when it comes to conference play. Is that beneficial when you get into postseason, just to be that battle tested later in the season and get used to that competition?
Yeah, I think that will help us. I think the key is you just got to focus on continuing to get better. I mean, obviously, the better the team you play, the smaller your margin for error is, and that's at any time of the year, but particularly in conference play, and particularly on the road in conference play. But I do think that when you are faced with stiff competition like we are, as you mentioned in the second half of our schedule, I think you don't have any choice but to get better and understand that hey, we're going to have to improve in this area and in that area, and we're going to have to be on our game in a lot of different ways if we want to win. And then when you come up short, like we did at St. Louis on Saturday, obviously, you watch the tape as a coach or as a player, and you see a lot of things that you just want to focus on getting better at, and there's obviously a sense of urgency there.